Hello, everyone. We are back for another episode. And this week I have with me Christina Jenkins. She is a guide, a writer, and the founder of the Wise Woman World. Her work centers on spiritual sovereignty, sacred cycles, and what it actually means to live in sacred relationship with the moon, the earth, your body, all beings, and your own inner authority. She guides from lived experience, earth-based wisdom, and decades of working with astrology, rituals, somatic practices, and conscious community. And this is all about remembering who you are. So I bring you today, Christina Jenkins. I'm super excited to dive in to today's topic.
Hello. Thank you.
Yes, I'm super excited. So today we're going to be talking about all things related to astrology and how you bring in cacao into your practices to support your clients. And by the way, you guys, she makes delicious cacao. I'm just saying. I still have that piece that you gave me. I'm like hoarding it. I'm like going to lick on it here and there.
Oh, I'd love to talk about all of that.
So let's get started. Tell me what brought you into this world. How did you get here? How did you get started in astrology and all things?
So I'm actually a fourth generation astrologer. My great grandmother was a very well-known astrologer in the early 20th century.
Wow.
And in the Western US, she, according to family lore, I do have one of the charts that she cast for a family member, but according to family lore, she gave readings to many of the high up in the state establishments of the Western United States. So
Wow.
so I come by it honestly. My it kind of skipped my dad a little bit, but here we are, bringing it back. And so I definitely have it in my blood. She is one of my guides. And so I've played with it throughout. I actually cast my first chart in the 90s, back when we were hand casting charts, like with the whole circle and pen and pencil and your compass and your big old book. And then just life. And honestly, a lot of the expectations of society, the fact that astrology was just so edgy back then, and some of my career goals. Anyway, I just kind of put it on the shelf for a long time. I never discounted it. I would play with it occasionally, but it just wasn't an active part of my daily life. What stayed intact always was the moon, her cycles, and living within those. And then in 2017, I had an astrology reading, not my first, but the most impactful one. And it's when I found out about a certain point in the sky that was discovered in my lifetime that changed everything and just had me dive headfirst back into astrology. And here I am as a full-time job.
Okay. All right. So that's incredible. You have so many people in your family who have been so associated to the stars and the planets and what they do. I can't imagine going back to pen and paper because I didn't know. I only came into it whenever it was cafeastrology.com. And intuition was just like, here's your answers.
I love that. And, I'm so grateful for the proliferation of easily accessible astrology, because it's what's really brought it into a conversation that almost anybody can access. And I've actually done big corporate readings for teams of some companies you've heard of. Okay. So this is leaking into the regular mundane world.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's fun.
I love that. So let's dive in a little bit. What's the difference between knowing your full astrology chart and then just knowing, your zodiac, your sun sign?
Okay, so knowing your zodiac and your sun sign is powerful, but a lot of times people don't feel connected to it. And there's a lot of reasons why you might not feel connected to it. And so when you understand your sun, your moon, and your rising, you can then understand more about yourself. Then it starts to click and make sense. And let's think of it this way. If you're just your sun sign and, there's almost 1 billion other people on the planet who share your sun sign. Well, we have 1 billion different experiences with that, but then you get the specificness of your moon, the specificness of your rising sign, then it can really start to make sense. So those are the 3 places where I highly recommend people start. Know your sun, your moon, your rising. This is the what of your life. Oh, how are you moving through the life? Well, how do you brilliantly shine? That's your sun. Your moon, what emotionally nourishes you? What are your non-negotiable needs? How do you sometimes move when you are in stress? How were you as a child? What are your absolute innate gifts that you're so close to you may not actually see? The astrology can help give you words around it. And then the ascendant or the rising sign is really how you move through this life. How do people experience your energy before you even come in and start talking to them? And so knowing those 3 things, becoming familiar with that, it's going to give you texture and layers, because nobody is two-dimensional. So this starts to open up the facet of the jewel that you are with these 3 points. But then when you can dive deeper into the different aspects that the different planets show as they're moving through your chart, it just gives you vocabulary, which helps your brain wrap itself around concepts about you that you didn't have vocabulary or words for. Now, we all sometimes diss on labels. And that's not unfounded, because if we identify so strongly with a particular label, that closes the door to other opportunities. But the benefit of a label in, say, with, my Cancer sun, for example, I know that I create safe spaces, but that's such a soft skill. Like, very few people until recently even had the vocabulary to go, Christina, I just feel so grounded and so safe with you. But those words have come into play for me in how I view myself, therefore how I can show up in the world, simply because I said, oh, that's it. That's the gift that I can now work with, because I have context. I have something that helps my brain stop questioning itself and really get into this embodied state. And this is what astrology offers to people, which is why I get so excited about it, because it helps you know yourself better. And from that space, we move through this world with so much power, and that frequency of our own empowerment just lets everybody else empower themselves.
I love that. So I have a question. What is the difference there's so many different types of interpretations and books and everything else. So that kind of leads some people into some misinformation that comes through. How do we decipher and filter through that?
That's a great question. There are so many different modalities within the modalities, different lineages within astrology itself, and different apps that we now have access to. So here's the most important thing. If you're reading a book about astrology, or reading an app or a horoscope for the day from the apps, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But then I always want to take it just a little bit further, and that's into discernment. Why doesn't this resonate? Is it because the mirror, I don't like what I see? Do I not like that this is a potentiality? Or I love this, I'm totally resonating with this. Okay, is it the reality, or is this just what I want to see? Does this make sense where we're going with this? So there's that discernment. Take what resonates, leave the rest, but tap into that resonating, because we're living in a world where our intuition is exploding. We're allowing ourselves to feel, oftentimes for the first time in our life. And so we've gone from this narrative of can't trust myself, you can't trust yourself, you can't trust your feelings, it's all, you've got to have it all cognitive, to another world where we're like, oh, I trust every single thing that I feel, and it's right and true for me. Maybe, maybe not. So let's use discernment around that, because that's real intuition. And that discernment comes from being able to sit with yourself, know your own energy. Astrology can help you with that. And then when you're actually reading something about astrology or somebody's interpretation of your chart, you really are familiar with your own energy. So you can go, oh, okay, that doesn't feel great, but it still rings true.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to look at that. I'm going to unpack that a little bit more. I'm going to meditate with that. Oh, that feels great. And it is true. Wow, that's true about me. And so then you can bring that in and embody it. But you have to know your own energy in order to really be able to differentiate from all the things that are coming in and all the feels that many of us are feeling for the first times in our life.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think spirituality overall is shifting a lot and more people are starting to question things. I think we've been told how to feel for quite a while. And now we're coming into a space of, well, I have a mind of my own. I have feelings of my own. I can do this by myself. And I think that in and of itself is very empowering because it gives you your own mind, your own voice, your own space. But I also can see where, and I know astrology goes into different types of generations too. So, and I want to ask about that too. Like when we're looking at generations, what can we see that astrology gives us over time? What can we see moving forward? What can we see looking backwards and bringing that together into where we are today?
I love that. So I'm going to make an analogy to weather.
Okay.
Okay. So as an astrologer, I can tell you what the weather is. You know, this is what's coming in. You might feel you might have these choices, but eventually if I said if rain is coming tomorrow or whenever, or in this aspect or area of your life, or I can see in your generational past that here's some rainy weather. Well, you get to choose how you're going to play with that. Are you going to put on a raincoat? Are you going to bring an umbrella? Are you going to stay inside? Are you going to go and run naked in the rain? Like, you get to choose what you're going to do with the energy. And this is why predictive astrology on a broad spectrum has become increasingly inaccurate. And that is because our plethora of choices that we have is infinite. 50 years ago, as a person born where I was born, in the body that I was born in, I had a certain number of possible choices that were likely outcomes. So the predictability was much, much easier. Now, because we can go just about anywhere we want, because we have so many other influences coming in outside of our immediate environment of our family and our elementary school. So predictive astrology, I don't really buy into it very much anymore. And the reason why is because you can predict what the weather's going to be, and here's some possible outcomes, or choose your own adventure. But here's the weather. So play in it however you want.
Yeah. And I like that you say that. So with my clients, what I used to do is I would look up, what's moving. We talk about Mercury in the microwave. It's going retrograde. But I mean, even that, if we understand kind of like what you're saying, if we can understand what the pieces are, we can give ourselves some direction. I have been paying very close attention because Instagram is where I'll go thumb through, right? There's only a couple of people that I follow when it comes to astrology, because when I go to listen to somebody else, I'm like, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't feel aligned. It doesn't even match what where your planets are moving into and the dates and everything else. And it doesn't even match what I know. And I'm not an astrologist. I'm not the expert. That's why I lean on you. But it doesn't match the things that even I know. So I'm very, very picky about some of the people that I follow. Or when people send me things, I'm like, well, okay, that's probably not right.
And I want to thank you for that, because here's the truth. Watching this over specifically the last 6 years and really the last 2 years, there are droves of astrologers coming in, and so many of them are fear-based, sensationalist, and they're looking at interpretations that, you're right, they don't make a lot of sense. And I'm going to tell you another reason why, because so many of them are using AI. And I will tell you this, AI is very good at giving you information about astrology if you input accurate information. I will tell you what it is terrible at. And I experiment with this regularly because with my clients, I love to give them some prompts that are actually going to give them the kind of answers that they're looking for with accuracy. If you put in your birth date and information, 90% of the time I have found that it is wrong in some aspect as it goes through.
Yep. It was telling me all things. I'm like, that is not my chart. I memorized my chart. That is wrong.
Exactly. Or even if you put in a picture of a chart, it doesn't read it well.
Yeah.
And so if you're working with an astrologer who is working with AI, have them give you specific information that you can put in. For example, if I say my sun is in Cancer, tell me about that. Well, that's really different than saying my sun is in Cancer in the second house conjunct Venus, square Pluto, and Jupiter.
Yeah, that brings up a whole different interpretation there.
That is going to give you accurate information instead of general information. And AI wants to trend general anyway. It's a generalist.
Yeah.
That's what it's programmed to do. You are not general. You are an individual, and you deserve to have accurate information.
Yes, I agree with that. 100%. Everybody's unique. Everybody's different. No two charts are the same. I mean, unless you're born at the same date, the same time, the same space.
But even then, you have, again, that choice.
Yeah.
Somebody who was born at exactly the same time as you in the same place, you have the same choice, but you don't have the same body. You don't have the same genetic makeup. You don't have the same generational stuff. You don't have the same home.
That's right.
Same weather, totally different ways of playing with it.
Yeah. And complete different seasons for most people.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit more. What else can we learn from our astrology chart? Because I know there's so much information in there. What can we learn from different planets? What can we learn about ourselves and our health, in our careers? Not just the general, well, here's your 10th sign and here's your 6th house. And what else can we learn from this?
Oh my goodness. You can really learn. You can learn how you best relate. What are the things that you're looking for in relationship? So you can see how this could be really helpful with children, significant others, team members, because the way that you feel love is different than the way I feel love. But if I know the way you feel love, then I can express that to you because I love you. If I show you the way I feel love, you're going to end up not feeling love. Think about like the 5 love languages, except for now we've got so much more information about it.
Yeah.
You can see how you take action and are not just with speed, but with propensity, with natural ability, with driver's passion, motivation. You can see all of that. You can look and see what prosperity looks like. What do people value? What are things to look out for in health? I will always remember this one reading I was doing with this man. And on my readings, I'm always sharing my screen. And I stopped the share and I looked straight at him and I said, you need to. And I actually gave him health advice. And then he shared a story with me that confirmed it also put him in the mindset of, okay, that wasn't a one and done. This is actually an energy that I will be working with in this lifetime. And it had to do with health. So you can see these health things. You can actually look at longevity. And when you look at what's happening out in the sky and how it's impacting the snapshot of your chart when you were born, then you can go, oh, I'm going into a season where I am going to want to be a little bit more conscious of how money is flowing to and through me. Oh, I'm moving into a season, I'm in this one right now, where the subconscious and spiritual pressures are quite intense. So what do I get to do with that? I get to up my meditation. I get to up my cacao practice and these different things, because I know I'm in a season where my subconscious is growing. And sometimes that doesn't always feel good. Or I'm moving into a season where I've got this angel on my shoulder and I can take bigger risks. So let me move in with this bravery because I've got angel on the shoulder energy is what I call it. When you can, so you can see these different times and seasons throughout your chart.
I love the way that you just said that. You made a comment as far as working through this energy, not, oh, this is what I'm stuck to, doom and gloom. These are my lessons. This is just the way it is. This is just how it is. It removes the excuse of those things and brings you into a space of opportunity. Here's what I get to work with.
And do you know what else I love, Maisie? Every single month, we have a reminder of that with our fastest moving luminary, which is the moon. Okay. As it goes through its phases, as it moves through the zodiac, we have this small reminder of not everything is going to stay here. So don't think you're going to have a great time for the whole rest of your life, but enjoy it while you are. And you're not going to be this low forever. Write it out, play with the energy, find it within yourself how to do that. There are times, and we've been trained in a culture that always wants us to be at the full moon phase, always on, bright, bloomed out, fruit on the tree, let's harvest and have it all the time. And that is just not the human experience that we came in to have. Mm-hmm. We're also in the time where there's a lot happening in the dark underneath the surface, and it gets very little accolades. It really doesn't. It's not what everybody's aspiring to, but the moon reminds us that it's not always going to be dark and it's not always going to be light. But the good news is it's always moving. It's always shifting.
There's sometimes whenever the moon goes into certain signs, I cannot for 2 days, 2 to 3 days. I'm like, leave me alone.
Isn't that a fun thing to track too? What phase is it in and what sign is it in?
And then how it goes along with our cycles, as women, because that connects too. Do you start at the full moon? Do you start at the new moon? Where's your cycle at? And especially for ladies, we've done an episode like this before of cycle syncing, for women who are not, they're not cycling anymore. Your body still cycles. It still changes with the moon.
It sure does. And when you don't have that visual sign of the blood, you do have it, but without the physical sign, then we can get disconnected. Yeah. And it can bring you back in. Yeah, that's been a life-changing practice for me as a woman who no longer cycles with blood.
Yeah, I bet that's different. I was going to say difficult, but I'm going to change that word to different.
It's both. I don't want to sugarcoat it. It's been a process for me. And one of the biggest things that I've had to ask myself over and over is, how does what I have through experience come to have my perspective of the moon, of the cycles? How does this impact me now? What does this feel like now? Can I still love myself even though I'm in a season where it feels a lot different?
Yeah. And even quote unquote closer to death.
Absolutely.
Like, I know that would be the thing that would cross my mind. We were having a conversation like that the other day and I was like, and death.
And death. It's the only way out of the human experience. Yeah. And we're all going to get it.
Yeah.
And that's what we came here for.
Yay. So on the topic of moon, I know you do a lot of rituals with your ladies and you use cacao into that. So tell me more about the rituals and why we need to be doing these moon connections.
Oh, I love this question so much. One of the biggest things with the moon and with cacao is we have been trained, programmed, and enforced through lots of different ways to not sit and be present with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We have all sorts of distractions, and this is one of the biggest ones, is the distractions. And so people no longer know how to sit. And we go back to the beginning of our conversation. We don't know what it's like to be in our own energy because we don't sit in our own energy, whether it's our environment of work or home or whatever, or whether it's being on our digital phone all the time. We are constantly inundated with other energies. So the act of sitting with the moon, sitting with cacao in your own energy, these practices bring you back into yourself. And then what do you get from that? Increased intuition, greater self-confidence, just a calmer, more grounded way of moving through these really wild times that we're in. That's what you get when you sit. And when we have a new moon and a full moon, you can anytime. I'm just saying these are really like potent times of the cycle and also very visual times. There's no moon in the sky, or we've got this big, beautiful silver orb in the sky. So these are natural cyclical reminders to just sit, to self-reflect, to look inward, to ask, is this still working for me? What's a way that I can shift the energy around this? How do I feel about my current relationship with my body? Or like the questions are endless, but sitting with those questions without looking for somebody to tell us what to think, whether it's an Instagram person or your AI friend, actually coming to your own ideas, thoughts, I call them musings of where you are right now. And then with cacao, which really is, as far as a physical, tangible help for this kind of meditative musing, sitting with your own energy, coming back to yourself. That is what cacao does. It opens your heart and gets you grounded into your body and just really gives you a feeling. There are chemical, like you do have some dopamine and serotonin, soft. It's soft. This isn't like, but that gets released. This is why, even if it's not cacao, you might crave chocolate. Women around that time of the month, you might crave chocolate because it actually has chemical phytonutrients that, and when I say chemical, I just mean like, like the elements of the elements.
Yeah. It's
That
not a chemical plant.
Exactly. That release these beautiful feel good hormones into our body and open our hearts. So it's good for your health and it helps you feel connected. There are groups of people that are living in indigenous ways in cacao growing countries, specifically in South America, that if there is a challenge in the family, that if there's a challenge in the community, they will sit with cacao before they discuss it because it brings everybody into their bodies. It gets everybody calm and open-hearted. So an actual conversation that is not charged can happen. And this they can trace back like through many generations back to before time because of this beautiful plant. And so what does that look like? It looks like a ritual with yourself or with others where you are connected in and you are paying attention to what your energy field is and feels like. So that when I go out into a crowd of people, I am feeling the energy of the room. We do that as sensitive people. And I'm also very familiar with my own energy so that I have more choice in how I am responding to whatever else is out
there. Yeah. I think it also keeps you from taking other energy that doesn't belong to you.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, you stayed grounded. That piece that you gave me. So she gave me a piece. She came to New Orleans, which was so amazing. I got to go hang out with you for a day. It was wonderful. Love being in her energy, by the way. Guys, you need to do a reading with her. So she gave me two pieces of cacao that had calendula, and did it have calendula or something?
It was the lioness one, so it had calendula and a couple of other fun, delicious herbs, vanilla.
Yeah, and it was so good, but it's not your typical sweet. Like there's no added sugar or anything like that. And the only two hands that have touched it was the person that took it from the growing and then you preparing it. And then me touching it and putting, y'all, my heart, and I told you this, like my whole entire body lit up on fire. I was like, I should go run a marathon. Like I am ready for this. And she goes, oh, I matched it to your Leo and your fire sign. I was like, this is perfect.
Yes.
And it was great. And I still use the little lip balm that you gave me too. So I love it. Yeah. But I mean, it is centering. Even when I use the lip balm, I may not be intentionally focused on my own energy, but it does bring me back in that moment. It's just that reminder, you know?
It is. And that's the great thing about cacao is, well, I believe in moving through life with tons and tons of intention. I mean, that's really where the magic of life is. Sometimes you can just have an energetic connection with something and you don't have to keep intending on it until it starts to run out. Then you need to kind of remagic it up is what I call it. But putting that lip balm on, I mean, that was made with so much love and intention by me with the cacao. And so you can write on that intention a little bit too, so that it just does bring you back in.
Yeah. So that makes me ask another question. Because if we're talking, you said that going into crowds, it helps to ground and center you. What does cacao do to the nervous system?
Great question. So as it opens your heart and increases blood flow, because when we get stressed, we actually hunch in and protect. We protect our vital organs. We protect our heart. So it actually opens your heart. I will watch people all the time and they will have this in their body, the cacao in their body, and I watch their shoulders relax. I watch their center open. Sometimes they'll sit with their arms crossed and their legs crossed. They are open, and because it is opening your heart, increasing circulation, and then you've got all that beautiful like the serotonin and the oxytocin and a little bit of dopamine. So all these feel-good chemicals released in your brain. And so it actually, in this very healthy, very non-addictive, but very grounded and connected way, physiologically changes your nervous system through hormone and muscle relaxing. Amazing, right?
Yeah. So how do you bring that into your rituals and what you do with the wise woman world?
So we always have cacao at our moon ceremonies. Each one of us in the wise woman world and most of our circle also work with cacao every single day in their own personal rituals.
Okay.
And so there's a variety of ways. But my favorite, and this is what I do in my cacao ceremonies personally and with others, is we smell the cacao. So we start to bring it into our bodies in this sensual way to remind us, oh yeah, here I am. I'm in my body now. Yeah. Instead of out here, I'm in my body. And then whether it's the little piece like I gave you, or whether it's a warm beverage, which is pure cacao and good water. That's maybe local honey, but that's how we do it. And then again, the sensualness of it, looking at the design. So you're really inviting yourself into your body before you even take it into your body, and then sitting with it. I like to sit with it in my mouth so that I can taste all the flavors. So you can see how with my intention, I'm also coming into my body. So it's amplifying what the cacao would do anyway. And then we sit, we might contemplate a question. especially depending on the cosmic weather and where the moon is. This is where the large inspiration for, because we want to work with the cosmic wind in our back, sitting with a question, or sitting in awareness. I like to put a hand on my heart. Sometimes I'll put a hand on my sacral, sometimes, but my hands on my body, feeling myself and however I'm positioned, feet on the floor or my sit bones on the floor or wherever I happen to be. And I'm just in my body. And I've got my brain entertained with a contemplative question. But that's a part of my brain. A lot of my brain is right here, being aware of my body, because we can get off and out, but with the cacao, we want to stay in. So the question is actually almost to keep your brain a little bit fooled that it's doing something valuable, because your brain is always wanting to do something valuable for you. And sometimes it has to like let you know in like a little bit of a maladaptive way, maybe, that it's still there and it's relevant and pay attention to me. So we've just got that taken care of, and we're just here in our bodies. Because imagine if we spent more time just in this human body that we have.
Well, I think a lot of times we're on autopilot. I mean, I notice when I'm driving down the road, how did I even get here? How did I get here safely? Because I don't remember the drive. And why you miss a turn. Oh, I was going here. That's happened before. Where are you going? I was like, I don't know. I think I'm going to work. Like, I don't remember. I was in my own thoughts. You disrupted me. But I think that's so true in the aspect of being present in the moment. And I think that's more of what you're talking about when you say remembering who you are, remembering where you are, remembering when you are. Like it's all of those pieces and why you are.
Yes, all of those pieces. I love that so much. Yeah. It's where you are. It's when you are. That was good.
I'm getting goosebumps. But it also makes me think of, again, we're hustling and bustling through life. And yes, we're here to have experiences. Yes, your astrology chart can tell you all things about your life lessons and what you're going to go through, your soul contracts and blah, blah, blah. Am I compatible with this person? And if not, nix them. I love that. My friends will do that. Hey, can you tell me about this person's chart? And like, if I like them or I don't like them. And I'm like, that's not even the question. The question is, are they willing to heal and work with you and be compatible or not? Are they going to be stuck in their own ways? Because nobody grows outside of that.
Nope. I love that. Yes.
I'm a sponge for education. Like I'm a sponge for learning new things. I would love to do one of your retreats. Like I've seen the pictures and everything. And I'm like, everybody's having a great time. I've got FOMO.
So special. They are.
But I do love and enjoy hearing the way that you bring these rituals into your everyday too. You're not just doing these at retreats. You're also bringing them into your everyday practice so that you can embody more and connect more.
And that Maisie is really where it's at. You can go to a retreat and have like these eureka aha moments, this life-changing stuff. But if you don't take that retreat home with you in some way, this is why from my retreat, the cacao, the moon workbooks, the community, if you don't bring that retreat home with you, it was a great experience, but it was not as impactful as it could be. And that's what I love about these tools, because if everybody sat by themselves every day, even if it was just for 2 minutes, the world would change. If everybody sat with some really high quality, well-sourced, totally sustainable and equitable cacao every day, we would be walking around with big open hearts and the world would be different.
Yeah.
If everybody sat with the moon twice a month and did self-reflection, going with the cosmic wind, the world would change. So we have these tools that are actually the small, simple things that move the needle.
Yeah, and I love that you say that because even at the full moon, I go and reflect on, and I was very diligent. I've kind of lost that over the past couple of months, but we're going to get back to that. But every full moon, I would sit there and what am I ready to release? And I would look at all areas of my life. I would look at me. I would look at my relationships, my friendships. I would look at my business. Like, what's drowning me in my business right now? What is just like, it feels like a chore to do. And it's so frustrating. And where can I release it? Is it releasing it to my assistant? Hey, can you take this responsibility? That just irritates. I did that yesterday. I was so proud because she goes, what do you hate and what do you need? And I'm like, take this. I cannot do this one thing anymore. And my two assistants that I've always had have always known it's the simplest things that's going to irritate the crap out of her. So we will take those off her plate. But again, so looking at it in every area, like what is it that I'm constantly thinking? What are my wake up thoughts, my go to bed thoughts? The full moon is typically the time where I'm like, release this shit, like get it out. And then as we're moving, and I can't ever remember waxing and waning. I don't know why.
I'm going to give you some pro tips here in just a second.
Okay,
Carry
cool.
on.
And then in the new moon is what am I welcoming in? What is something new that I want to bring in? How do I want to bring this new life experience? It's where I really sit in intuition and vision and in all areas, business, in, relationships with my kids and everything else. What does the next month or more look like for me? What am I trying to bring in and create?
I'm very proud of you for doing that. And just having, so the moon is always waiting for you. You can always come back to her and she'll still love you. So coming back to that practice and doing those things. So I'm going to give just a couple of pro tips on the cosmic weather with the moon. Love that at the new moon, it's about what is the seeds that I'm planting. What do I want to gestate in the dark here and then have it grow and bloom? The full moon, and I actually think that this is one of the distortions of a highly masculine culture. We've masculinized the full moon. So let me offer this tip. On the full moon, celebrate because that's the harvest.
Okay.
That's when you pick the fruit and you taste the deliciousness of that fruit and you celebrate with your friends. And then the day after the full moon, when it moves into the waning, getting smaller, gibbous moon, that's when you start releasing. Because what happens after the harvest? Well, then the leaves start to fall. It moves into a time of some dormancy before the blossoms come out again on the fruit. And then waxing is new to full. Waning is full to new. And waning, just think of it, it seems like it's getting smaller and it is getting smaller. And then waxing is getting bigger. So that is it. I believe that moves into a more divine feminine way of working with the moon because celebration is something that we talk a lot about, but we don't always do.
Yeah.
Just celebrate on that full moon and then release the next day.
Oh, I like that. Thank you for those tips.
Yes.
Love that. All right. So we're kind of at the end of everything. Tell everybody where they can find you, how they can get in touch with you, and everybody you need to do a reading with her.
Yes. And could I would love to just say, getting a subscription to the Work with the Moon workbooks is $8 a month. Like I can't even buy a cup of coffee for that much. $8 a month.
$8 a month.
$8 a month. So
I didn't
just
even know you did this. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah. thewisewomanworld.com or workwiththemoon.com. You'll land in the same place. thewisewomanworld.com or workwiththemoon.com. And you go there and literally you can start with these workbooks, $8 a month, and it will absolutely change everything about the way, because what you were talking about with the intentions on the new and full, we've built it in with the moon and all of her friends out in the sky. It is built on that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go check this out. I had no clue. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Christina, for being here. Guys, take a listen. Go to the descriptions. We're going to put all of her links and her bio, everything in there so you can get connected. And per the usual, we will catch you guys on the flip side.